Let me check. I think let me check. All right, I think we are started the session. All right, let me. I think I have shared the screen. Let me cancel this one. So, uh, start from starting. Right, let me check whether is everything is fine or not. Okay, okay, recording started. Mic is open, right? And all right. So let me dismiss this one, and I think we are live. I guess. Okay, let me start the session. Mic is open, and we are also sharing the screen. All right. So yeah. So hello everyone. My name is Mohit, and welcome to the another session on C Sharp. Yes, we are learning about C Sharp in this session. Like in previous, we have discussed about a lot of things. We learn about GitHub, and we learn about .NET, DevOps, and a lot of things. So in this session, we are learning and we are discussing about C Sharp. What is C Sharp language, and what is the significance of C Sharp language in this 2024, and how you can build around a modern application with the help of C Sharp, right? So we are discussing about C Sharp, uh, like the basic syntax and all. We also discuss about the future trends about C Sharp, and I also give a little bit practical demo of time. If we get time, we can also see demos and how you can create and how you can start with C Sharp in your local system. I will also show how you can run C Sharp program in your VS Code and in other online compilers, right? So without further ado, I think we can start the session. And let me introduce myself. The people who don't know, my name is Mohit, and I'm also MLSA, and it is a session which is conducted by MLSA and supported by MLSA for all the students and developers and other people who are joining the session. And apart from this, I am in my like final year doing major in CS, and I also love things around cloud and cloud native and about Kubernetes and in general about cloud infra, right? So without further ado, I think we can start the session, right? So we already knew there are a lot of languages like exist. We already knew there is a C, we have then C++, then we have JavaScript, we have many languages. So what is the significance of C sharp, right? So let me let me select a pen over here and let me select the color. I think we can go for the red one, right? And all right. So the in this like what is C sharp? Like C sharp you heard about like it is used in Microsoft internal or other like things. This is right. So C sharp is a powerful and versatile programming languages like which is used for like the web application. It is not only used for the web application. You can build like cloud solution, desktop software and game development. Like in this session of .NET, I already discussed like about .NET is with the help of .NET, we can build a lot of other platform applications. We can build for the cloud platform, and we can build for the mobile. We can build for the web. There is not a single. There is not a single point of like. There is not a single point of thing that you can build only this thing or like this. You can build uh, web application like cloud solutions, desktop softwares, and other things, right? With a .NET, with a .NET as well as C sharp, right? So the basic idea of C sharp is like whether you are a beginner or an experienced developers, right? Uh, whether you're let me okay, right, so this is a marker. So whether you're a beginner or experienced developer, the presentation will introduce like we already discussed, like the session will be going for the folks who are learning the C sharp language for the first time, and the session is for both for the basics like the for the professional ones and for the beginners one as well as, and we will learn about C sharp in depth, not in depth, like I can give a whole overview and all in this, and we can also do some we can also see the syntax of this language. All right, so let's go to the next slide and let's see what we have there. Right, so let me change the slide over here. So all right, so let me go to the next slide. So why C sharp remains top choice in 2024? As I already discussed, like nowadays a lot of things are booming. So firstly, we are listening a lot of term like agentic AI or like AI agents and other things, right? And we have a lot of other fields as well as like, but why C sharp remain top choice in 2024, right? The first point would be the versatility, right? So C sharp is used for mobile. Like I already discussed, like most of the languages are used in for a specific. Suppose if I am learning JavaScript, I can build around front end, I can build around the back end stuff, and I can play around it, right? But I for the mobile application, I cannot rely on the JavaScript, right? So with the help of C sharp, if you are using C sharp, which is used for mobile as well as um for the uh, mobile and for the web and for the game development. You can also create C sharp with the help of C sharp. You can also create games, and it is a I definitely make it is a good choice for the like diverse project. Suppose if you are building something, a game or some application around it, right? And now what you can do, you can create your whole application for the web as well as for the mobile and for the other things, right? Uh, so next we have the strong in .NET integration. Like I already discussed about .NET in previous session. I can provide that link to the community group. You guys can check it out. So .NET is nothing but .NET is also another you can say is a types of ecosystem provide. .NET is a .NET is also a language which is supported by Microsoft and which is introduced by Microsoft, and it is maintained and now it is maintained by the open source contributors. You can go and you can also contribute to the .NET, and .NET have a lot of integrations. So with the help of if you are using C sharp in your project, so there is a strong integration of .NET, right? So you can seamlessly like integrate the .NET ecosystem, and it will provide the developers a robust framework or an intensive library. Suppose if you are building something, suppose if you are building a web application or a food food delivery application, right? So you are using C sharp for that. So if you want to integrate with with if you want to integrate that your application to the mobile, now you can use .NET, and you can try to build a mobile application with the help of .NET frameworks and other things, right? So it provides strong integration. So instead of going here and there, you can simply integrate seamless integration with a without any headache, right? So because when you are creating your application, so application nothing but suppose if let me clear this one and let me draw a simple uh, right, diagram so that we can understand about the integration part and other things, right? So let me draw this one. So let me take let me take the pen color change to, I guess we can go for the green one. Yeah. Suppose if I want to right. So if I this is the application. This is our application. So we have okay. So we have two parts over here. Let me erase this one and let me draw again, right? So let me okay, we are in next slide. Sorry. All right, so we can simply erase this all, and now what we can do, uh let me take the pen color to red, black, right? So suppose this is your application which is used to deliver food, right? So there are two things, right? So first what we have, the front end part over here. So what we are seeing, the GUI and the graphical user interface, like the people like uh, we get, right? And then we have the backend, right? So all the code. Let me simply draw the back end, right? So this is, suppose we have front end, we already discussed this, now we have back end. So in this back end we have a lot of things. We have databases, we have different API integration. Suppose if I want to use a Google Map API, then I have to integrate that API with my backend code, and I want to type with this front end code whenever the user will uh, come, and the pop-up will came on which there is a button where you can share your GPRS. From that, it will go to the backend and it will call the API, and it will store the database. It will store the address in the database, right? So all the hustles and all the things, these integration and all, these are very difficult to do. Like these are not difficult, but if you are a beginner and if you're trying and if you're creating a project for first time, it could be difficult. But more or less, if you are using C sharp, so it is a like it's a seamless integration, so you can integrate all these things. Suppose if you are using C sharp and if you are building a game with the help of some llama or some open API key and other things, or Gemini key or other uh, open source models, right? So what you can do, simply you can create your application and you can integrate these APIs and all things with the .NET framework, and you can use different libraries which are present in .NET, right? So the next point, we have the performance, right? So let me erase this one and let me draw the another diagram for, right? So let me take a pen, red color, right? So next we have, all right, so next we have the performance. Like C Sharp offers excellent performance thanks to the .NET runtime optimization. So C Sharp is nothing but like, C Sharp gives a better performance as compared to the other ones because of the runtime optimization. What is runtime optimization? Runtime optimization is nothing but this is a part of .NET where that runtime optimization gives the environment. It will give the environment to the C Sharp, and so more or less, like it will it will give a it will give excellent performance, right? And which makes the application suitable for demanding application, which is making like which is making our application suitable for the demanding application, right? Suppose if you are building some trading application or other things, right? So the performance which it requires, like for a trading application, for a real time, suppose if you are building some real time application where the data will changing like in minutes or in second. So for that, it is a great if you use like C sharp or C sharp language, because it will provide the performance excellence and all, right, as compared to the other ones. So let's go to the next slide. Let's see what we have, right? So let's talk about the C time. Sorry for this image. Let me. I think this image is little bit. Uh, Not up to the things what I was thinking, but more or less, let's go to this one, like C sharp core concept, variables, data types, and operators. Like as we discussed like previous slide, there are a lot of things like in if you are learning a language, like we have a lot of um things like in the initial the variable data types and operators. Like for more or less, like variables is nothing but variable are like the containers. Like eh, suppose if you know C or if you know any other languages, there are also variable which store the data types over here, right? Suppose we have a lot of other data types, like we have int, then we have string, bool, and float and other things, right? So the basic idea of this slide, what we are discussing on this, about the basic stuff of like what are the core concept, like variable data types and other things, right? For this, and then we have the operators. Operators is nothing but like operators are plus, minus, and other things. And simply what we can do, right? So um, we can simply write a simple code in C sharp or other thing, or we can try it out about the variables and other things, right? So let me erase this one and let me simply write. Alrighty, so let me erase this one and let me let me do this presentation, right? Let me write some code over here, right? So give me 1 second. Let me choose this pen over here, and I can go for this. Okay, so yellow color is fine, I guess. Alrighty, so yep. So variable. So we already discussed about like variables and other things, and what are these variables, right? So in this, like there's a standard template, you can say, we follow. Suppose if I want to write a hello program, so we can start with a hello program, and then we can simply learn about the variables and other things, right? So in C sharp we have like int is store the integer part. Suppose if I want to store integer, suppose I'm making an application where I ask user to enter their age, right? So it will store in the integer part, right? Then we have double. So double is nothing but double is like a floating point number, like where we can store the price and other things, right? Then we have string, like, as the name suggests, like string is used to store for the name and other things, like. And then we have bool. So bool have like two. Suppose bool always return, right, true and false. Suppose I'm making application of student application for the attendance. So if the student is present, so it will tell true. We can set bool the value is true. If this is not, so simply we can write there false, right? So in C, like we have printf for the print output stream. If I want to show uh, like if I want to show if I want to show to the output, we simply go to the, like, we simply write printf and we can show the output. But in the C sharp, like we have some other things. We use uh dot write line, something like that. Like it is similar to like JavaScript. Like if you know JavaScript, like in JavaScript what we do, we just go to console.log, then we can simply write. So in C, like we have like something like console dot write line, so which is used to print all the statements and all the variables and other things, right? So if you want to take some input in C sharp, what we can do, simply what we have, right? So as we can store by the read line, something like that. Like I can simply tell what I am saying, right? So let me erase this one, right? And let me show like how you can write the code in C sharp as well. So let me erase this all the screen, right? So erase all this thing, and let me write. Suppose if you want to print something, and what you can do, like you can create a class of uh, you can create the class of let me write this one, right? So yeah, this is right. So for this, for the input part, what you can do, simply you can type console dot write, then you can simply ask the user to write the value, right? So it is used to print the values. For taking input, like you can simply write console dot read, then you can uh, write a function like read lines, right? So you can create a class program or something like that, and you can create a static void main, right? So we can see this thing in the demo part, or we can also run a C sharp program if we get times. But more or less it is easy, or it is like related to like other languages, right? So in other languages we also have variable data types, other things, and operators is nothing but like plus minus values and other things, right? And let's go to the next slide, and let's see what we have. Let me little change the I think the slide color is white, so I am confused with the mouse pointer. So let me go to the next slide, I guess. Give me 1 second. I think we are ahead. So where is the, okay, this one is right. So all right, so we are at the airport, right? So let me change the color. Let me go for the red one, right? So operators are nothing but like operators are like, suppose if I want to do some operations, right? Suppose I want to make application where user will come and user suppose I'm building a calculator application. So what does the calculator do? You write some value, there are a lot of operations, simply you type on the operation, then you click on the equals to. So this is the part of basic like operations. Like we have arithmetic operation, we have comparison operation operations, sorry. So what is comparison operation? Suppose if I am uh, making if I'm suppose if I want to suppose if I want to, what we can take example of, like suppose if user write two value, then I want to print that user has right two value. So what we can do, simply I take a if else block, or if I take a if block, if statement, and I simply write a user input value equals to 2. Whenever the user will go, it will redirect to this block and it will print that statement of this block, right? So this is the work of comparison operators. Then we have logic operators. Logic operators are also used in the concept of like if and statements. We can see in the next slide what we this mean. So control flow, making decision with if else statement and loops. So what are loops and what are if else statement and all these things, right? So loops are nothing but, suppose, let me take an example. Like if something like if this equals to this, then it will redirect to this block. If this is not equals to this, it will redirect to this one and it will print the value. Suppose 5 is not equals to 5. Suppose user has entered a certain value, 10 or something like that, and which is not equals to 5. So then it will not go to this, it will not go to this if block, it will simply move out to the else block and it will print over here what is the value of this. Like, so I can tell, like, you can also read from this statement. I can also share this PPT to the to the WhatsApp group and for the community group part, right? So let me let me read this one, like what we have. So use if else statement to execute different blocks. So I already discussed about what are blocks. Like, blocks are nothing but simply block will do what block will do, like simply it will uh, suppose if there is a code and there is something written on that part, if the statements are not corrected or the statement are corrected, it will go to that block of the corrected statement. If these corrected statement are not go to the corrected statement, it will redirect to the another block part, right? So this is the part of this. All right. Right. So next we have for loops. What are for loops? For loops are nothing but like used for loops are used to execute a block or a specific number for a specific time. Suppose if I want to start a number from 0 till 100, so I can simply use the for loop and all, right? Then next we have uh, while loop. So while loop is also similar to as a looping system, and it is also used as it will also use as a control flow. While is nothing but is a modification version of for loop. So in for loop we have three statement, like the initialization, and then we have application, then we have the statement and the question statement, then we have the upgradation statement, right? So then next we have for loops. Sorry, the next we have while loops. So I already described while loop is nothing but is also it will also execute some condition. If the condition is true, then the block will run. If the condition is not true, it will redirect to another block and it will come out of that block. Right. So next what we have, let's go to the next slide. So objected oriented, like OOPS in C sharp. So OOPS is nothing but OOPS is related to objected oriented programming, like where we have classes and object. So let me take an example of classes and object. Suppose we are humans, or suppose the basic example of OOPS is uh, we all are humans of we all are humans of we all are object of human classes. Classes is nothing but classes is use which save our time. So it's a blueprint kind of. Let me take example of car or something like that, and then simply we can simply see what we are discussing over here, right? So let me take an example of a car. Suppose there is a car we are building, and there is a blueprint of that car, that this car contains this color and this car has the property of how many people are sitting in all. So then we can simply do what we can do, like we can take another example of human class, right? So let me erase this one and let me try to draw a tree type structure so that you guys can understand what we are discussing about the oops and other things, right? So let me go to the previous slide. Let me take the pen color to the red part, right? Suppose there is a car and this is the class, and in this class we have a lot of properties, and we have a lot of properties. Like properties are nothing but properties are related to function and other things. Suppose in this car we have one function, get drive. So get drive, in this function, in get drive we have a printing in this we have a print function, a display, and where I write, let's drive this car. And another function we have for the color part, and another function we have for the car part. So what you can do next is, suppose if I want to create another car, if I want to create another, let's suppose this is I want to create a car name, suppose XYZ. So I simply use this class, I can extend it, and I can use all the properties which are present in that class. In that class we have a property of color, so I can modify that property of my color for my class. So this is the, it save a lot of code, it save a lot of code, it give us a lot of reusability and other things, right? And next we can take an example of humans as well. Suppose, let me erase this one already. So okay, so from where we can okay, so we can place this one. And suppose, let me change the pen right over here. Suppose this is the object, this is a we are this is the humans, and this is a human class. Human class is a class where all the humans will come, and we are the object of this class. Object is nothing but objects are initiates of like classes, instance of classes. Like each object has its own unique data type, values, and other things. Suppose human is a class and we are the object of human class, and in these objects we have different values because every human is not same. Suppose this is human one, and this is human object one, and this is human object two. Human object one has suppose tall height, this has short height, this has some color skin different, and this have some color skin different. So objects have their different like unique set of data, and they can also use the predefined data which is defined in that class also, right? So this is the basic idea of like oops, why oops is important. We have a lot of um, we have a lot of in most of the languages, like sorry, in most of the languages we have the oops concept. Like in Java we have oops, and C++ we have oops, in C sharp we have also loop, because oops provide a lot of things. Encapsulation, you heard about like encapsulation, polymorphism, you heard about a lot of operator overloading and other things, right? So let's talk about inheritance. What is inheritance? So inheritance is nothing but, suppose if I want to inheritance, so these are like, inheritance is nothing but, inheritance is, suppose if I want to inherit a property other class I of other class to a, suppose if I want to inheritance this class to another inheritance class. Suppose I want to inheritance a class to other class and I want to use that, so we can use inheritance. Suppose there is a class A, and this is class A is inheritance to class A, to B class and C class, and the B and C are also inheritance from D class. So this is, there are different types of inheritance present in C sharp, so we can discuss about it, right? So in C sharp, like we have in a inheritance, we have a base class, or then we have a derived class. Suppose uh, simply you can say a parent class or child class. Simply like I can give an example of a car, something like that. Let me erase this one. And suppose, let me change the color of this pen to black. Alrighty. So there is a class. We already know what is class and object is right now. And now we are discussing about inheritance, right? So class is nothing but, suppose class, I create a vehicle class over here, right? In that vehicle class, we have a brand name, then we have a color name, right? Then I want to create a class, then I want to create an object of this car class, right? So what I can do, I simply derive this. So this is a parent and this is a child. The derived class is a child class where I'm using uh, all the properties and other things which are predefined in the parent class, right? So it is a kind of parent-child relationship, right? So let me go to the next slide. Then next we had what we have, right? So next we are talking about working with .NET and the C sharp ecosystem. I already discussed about a lot of time. I'm sharing that .NET we have to discuss and things. I can share that link also. You can also refer like Microsoft Learns and other platform for the things .NET. C Sharp have also, they have also a separate workshop and separate courses which are free and which is accessed by. a lot of students, so you guys can also check this out for the C sharp. So now what I am discussing is like working with .NET and ecosystem. If you are choosing .NET Framework, .NET Core, .NET 5, so it is very easy to play around because C sharp is nothing but it is using under the C sharp is using, sorry, C sharp is using the runtime of .NET. We already discussed in previous slide. So let me go to the previous slide and let me highlight at that point. So performance, we discovered how C sharp offer performance, but it thanks to the .NET runtime optimization. So inherently or under root, they are he under the hood. The C sharp is using the .NET environment as a thing. So it is a great, like if you are building something around .NET and you are using C sharp and everything, it will give a good ecosystem for this, right? So you can refer other slide for this one, right? So let me go to the next slide over here. Let me go. Yep. So building a simple console application in C sharp. So I already told, like if we get time, we can discuss about out. We can create a project. Simply, you just need to download the Visual Studio Code, and then you have to start the application. Then you have to write a simple C sharp code. I will share a simple C sharp code of Hello World. How you can write it. This is not a code. This is just an emoji, right? This is an image, right? So don't like try to copy this code because this code is not correct, right? So I can provide the C sharp code, the basic code of Hello World. As we already discussed in previous slide, we have some console dot write line, then we have input and other things. So I can give that. Then simply you can build and you can try to run the application easy, right? So see, like console application is like there is no GUI and other things. The application run only on the terminal and other things, right? So I will provide this code. If time gets we get time, we can also simply go to the hello code for the C sharp, and I can discuss all the system files and other things which I was discussing in the previous in the previous slides, right? So let me hide this one. And debugging, you can also fix and debug, and if you find any difficulties, you can provide this code in the WhatsApp community. People can and student can help each other, right? So next, what we have, C Sharp for web development, .NET core overview. So the basic idea of this slide is like C Sharp is also used for the web development. So what we can do, so first we have the MVC. MVC is nothing but MVC is like model view controller. So what is model view controller? Model view controller is nothing but like is it a design pattern for building web applications? Suppose this is not a UI, matlab, this is not a UI something, but it is a MVC is nothing but it's a model view controller which is like used to for the design part and for the building web application. Then next, in the second, we have Razor Pages, like a pages programming model for building UI. Pages is nothing but HTML you use for the web dev, and for C Sharp we use Razor Pages and other things. So for the building UI, then we have web APIs like building RESTful APIs. Like RESTful APIs is used for integration and other things, right? So the basic idea of the REST APIs and other thing is like you can try to communicate with other APIs and you can try to uh, play with around it, right? So let me go to the third point. I guess third point is missing something like that. So leave this point. Running C sharp in the using WebAssembly. So WebAssembly is also a great topic. We can also take a session on WebAssembly. What is WebAssembly nowadays in cloud? So WebAssembly is also booming. So we can take an example of WebAssembly. So this is a basic idea of web development. If you want to start with a C sharp, it's an overview. I can also share the bar graph and the things, the diagrams and all the group. You guys can go and see. Sorry. And then C sharp for the cloud solution. Azure functions example. So Azure function are serverless computing services. You can write C sharp code and deploy it without. I already told everyone, like, sorry, if you are building an application or if you're building an application, if you are building it around with .NET and C sharp, I highly recommend for the folks like who are joining this, try to deploy the application on the cloud platform. Use Azure because Azure is supporting no. So Azure, you can use Azure platform. You can use other platform, but I highly recommend to try Azure because like it also it has some like student perks, something like if you have GitHub student developer pack, we have some points and credit. So you guys can try, and Azure also provide free tier for the student and for the other working profession as well. So in that free tier, you can try and play uh, around the servers and other things. You can deploy your whole application to the Azure and try to play around and map the IP and other things and try to see like what are the things different services are in Azure and try to play around it, right? So you can create a function, you can write the code and you can deploy it over Azure. First, you have to create a HTTP trigger function, then you have to write the code for that function, then finally your application is deployed, and finally your deployment of your function and the application will be deployed. So it's I highly recommend everyone, like you can simply go to the Azure platform. I already discussed in previous like sessions how you can create Azure account and how you can deploy your application, whether your application is use of .NET or like C Sharp or other languages. You can play. If you get any like error or something, you can try to debug it with your own. You can try the help and all. Now we have like Copilot and other things. You can ask to Copilot or other chatbots and other. If the code is not debug at that from there, now then you can ask, right? You can post that in the group over here, right? So let me bind up the session, like we are almost to the closing of the session already. So give me 1 second. I think I forget to add the thank you slide for the session. Don't worry. So let me discuss what we are have discussed so far. So we already discussed C Sharp, .NET, and time optimization, how you can get started, web dev, variable and other things. I also I will share the code and other things in the WhatsApp community, right? So what is the next step, right? You know about like what is .NET, then C Sharp. So whether you are planning to learn it for the job, and because the job opportunity are great in .NET and C Sharp, so you can prefer to learning all these technologies to get job if you're a student. If you want to test it around, if you want to play around the technology, you can simply go and try to build the application from this and try to deploy in Azure. And if you deploy this application and all, try to reach out to me. You can share in your socials and you can tag Azure and other things. It will boost your community, and it will boost your community efforts and other things, like if you're sharing what you are building, like learning in public and other things, right? So the resourcing and further learning what like C mastery, like I already like told, like we are not learning C sharp in depth. I give a lot of idea about C sharp and how you can get started. We also learn about what are the basic stuff, variables and all things like command console dot line and other things in this session. But like the best way of learning any languages is not by watching the video. You can simply prefer the documentation for that language. Suppose if I want to learn a JavaScript, I can simply go to the JavaScript language. If I want to learn HTML, I go to the docs of the Microsoft of the sorry, of the Firefox and other things, which the language doc is provided. If you want to learn any language, try to go to the documentation and try to learn from documentation, because whenever you are learning from some text, and it will easy to understand. It will also help in the focus and all, because whenever you're watching videos and other things, it will great. I'm not saying that watching videos is not great, but if you're learning from textbook or if you're learning from documentation, it will remind in your mind for the longer time instead of watching videos, right? I can also suggest a lot of there are a lot of online courses. Try to avoid, like if you're a student, like we have Microsoft Learn for the student. You can simply go to the Microsoft Learn and simply go to the C Sharp. There are a lot of workshop and other things are being presented in the platform. I simply check. I will share that link in the group as well. And Microsoft documentation, we have the official documentation. You can prefer it. Community forums, like we have a lot of community forums. Like we already know about Slack. We have also community, right? So it's also community forum, and you can share all the things, right? So I can simply tell the Microsoft Learn link of C Sharp. I will paste it, and after this we can bind up this session. Let me discard this one and let me go to the Ingeto tab already. So I can share this link to, like, suppose if I want to learn a specific language, C slash sharp ms learn. So ready. So this is a guide of C sharp and all. So you can prefer this one. I already this is a documentation for C sharp. So this is the best place if you want to get started. We have already a lot of things so presented here. Like we have uh, the window application if you want to build mobile app. We have microservices, game development, other things. These all are free things. So try to utilize it and try to play around it, like, because this is free. This is, they are not charging anything because Microsoft Learn is free for the students, so it is free for all of you, right? So you can simply go to, instead of spending money to the courses, you can simply prefer Microsoft Learn, or you can also see the C Sharp and .NET official documentation. And let me give this link to the chat box. Where is chat? I guess this one is chat. Let me paste this one link already. So this is the official link. And second thing, what I was thinking, I was telling you to learn language for documentation. So simply I can do what, I can copy this one and try to paste and try to see the documentation part for this one, right? Alrighty, so I'm not getting any documentation so far. So this is, I guess, this is the .NET, I guess, already. So this is okay. So you can simply check this one also, right? All set. So as of now, right, we have discussed a lot of about different things and all about uh, about C sharp and how you can get learn. Let me righty, let me take the slide for not the beginning. We are at the end point, so I forget to add the end slide, but we can simply, what we can say, right? So we can end the session, I guess, like, because most, if any folks have any question, you guys can simply write in the chat box. Let me open the chat box and let me see, like, if anybody have any questions, they can simply write to the chat box, I guess. All right. Uh, as of now, I'm not getting anything, I guess, already. So I think we can bind up the session. Let me, all right. So let me, so if anybody have any question, you guys can simply ask in the chat box because we are at the end point. We are binding the session. I have already provided all the links. I can also provide this one slide. And if anybody have any question, you can guys can ask in the chat box. And in the meantime, I can, what can I do? So I forget to add the thank you slide for you folks, right? So I simply write a thank you. Let me draw another slide instead of this one. So we can simply take already. So all right. So let me take another one slide. What we can do? I can in the meantime I can write thank you on this slide already because I forgot to add already. So we are done with the session. You guys can also tell what we can learn in different session. Tomorrow session I was thinking about to do hands-on demo on, like, web application. We can build a web application or some VR AR I'm thinking to about. So I think this font is great already. So we can simply do, we can create 129 already. So if anybody have any question, let me see what we have over here. I think nobody's asking because of sinus or other things. So if anybody have any question, you guys can simply like ask your question in the group as well. So there is no need to like shyness and all. So I think we are end of the session. I guess we are end of time. I think we have 6 minutes more left. So if anybody have any questions, you guys can ask and you can ask it further already. So let me, okay, let me take to this one slide and let me wait for a couple of minutes. If anybody have any questions, you guys can ask simply already. So yeah. So I think, yeah, this was a great session. Like, we are wrapping the session. Thank you so much, folks, for joining the session. I hope this session give a brief overview about C Sharp, .NET, and the ecosystem about all these languages. It was a great session. Thank you so much, folks, for joining this session, and thank you so much for giving your whole time. We will conducting a lot of session in upcoming days. Like tomorrow, we have another session, and tomorrow after tomorrow we have another hands-on demonstration, so we can discuss further what we want more in the community group, right? So thank you so much for folks for joining this session. It's really means a lot. So yep, thank you so much. Bye bye. So ready, bye. So let me close the meeting recording first, and then we can discuss further. So yep, stop recording already. So we have stopped